famous American actor Denzel Washington once said, "Don't aspire to make a living, aspire to make a difference." Solid advice for any budding entrepreneur. My name is Nicole Bannister, and welcome to Cape Town, the beautiful host city of GSEA's Global Finals 2022. And welcome to episode 2 of STARTITUP. In the last episode, we heard the stories of a few hopeful Global Student Entrepreneur Awards global finalists as they prepared for the upcoming quarterfinals of the worldwide competition. Over 1,000 entered, only 60 advanced, but as of today, there can only be 18 student entrepreneurs who proceed to the semifinals. Let's go revisit some of our students from the previous episode and meet some new participants as they tell us a little bit about themselves and their businesses ahead of this year's quarterfinals.
My name is Shamil. I'm 18 years old and I study computer science at Dartmouth College with a minor in behavioral economics. I am also the founder of diginoor.io. It's one of India's largest NFT marketplaces. So NFT is probably this buzzword today where a lot of people are talking about it. An NFT you can imagine as essentially this digital certificate of ownership. The whole point is that it's just this immutable record of data, meaning that no one can tamper that record. So Yash and I really saw the concept of NFTs taking off in the Western world, and we were like, why can't we replicate a similar trajectory in India?
We were essentially the first NFT marketplace in India, right? So we had that, we had the vision. We were able to foresee the space in India. We want buying NFTs to become as easy as ordering something on Amazon. It should be as seamless as them swiping their card and getting an NFT, which our platform offers.
What we realized that for anything to work in India, it needs to be under the 2 C's that every Indian loves, which is cricket or cinema. And so we partnered with some of India's oldest and largest production houses.
So all of these top-notch films that are cult favorite films are exclusively with us. So they won't be able to find this content with our competitors.
So it's kind of like making investing fun, right? So it's kind of like you're investing in your favorite celebrity and like you're hoping that that celebrity becomes more famous with time and you're able to even make money and sell that NFT. Yash and I have known each other since like middle school. We were the only 2 students who would, do a lot of coding, and then automatically we formed our own like bubble where we would work on like different projects.
So we bonded over this entire competitive coding thing, and as we were bonding, we figured we have a lot of similar interests. And then, over time, we realized that it's not only coding that we bond over. We're passionate programmers and we want to become entrepreneurs, so why not start something together?
There's a lot of hype and a lot of noise in the market, but the 1% of the projects that end up living are destined to be the next Google and Facebook of the world, is what I believe. And I think it's just a matter of like, amongst all the noise and all the hype, who can figure out the right utility and provide that for the users. I think that's going to be important.
I guess my biggest dream is to reach the next 100 million or billion users, because the moment you do that, everything else falls in place. So the idea is to build a product that people actually want to use and that actually integrates into their daily lives. The moment your business becomes a verb, right? When you say Google it or you say order it on Amazon, that's when you know you're impacting enough users for it to become a verb. And I want my business to become a verb, like diginoor it or something like that. The diginoor is like a combination of digital and Kohinoor. Kohinoor is like the most valuable diamond in the world. It was stolen from India. And Noor means diamond in Urdu and Hindi. So we feel NFTs and crypto are essentially digital diamonds, right? Because we see value in them. So that's why Digi and Noor, digital diamonds.
Meu nome é Leandro Nagakyoshiro, eu sou de São Paulo, capital. Eu estudo na Universidade Tecnológica Federal do Paraná e faço o curso de Engenharia Química. Como pessoas, humanos e tudo mais, a gente foi muito bom em fazer com que as coisas se tornassem cada vez mais fáceis para a gente. Então, no caso dos plásticos, a gente vê que a gente criou uma tecnologia realmente surpreendente que mudou o mundo, né? Facilitar a nossa vida a gente foi muito bom, mas isso causa um impacto muito negativo no meio ambiente. A gente viu uma oportunidade com o nosso material, com a nossa tecnologia, juntar outras duas coisas ao mesmo tempo. Então, o que é? Utilizar os resíduos da agroindústria para produzir um material que possa substituir esse outro, esses polímeros. Então, como o Brasil ele é essencialmente um país agrário, ele também é essencialmente um país que gera muito resíduo. E esses resíduos são de baixo valor agregado. Então, o que a gente faz? A gente pega esses resíduos, ou seja, e faz um material e dá um destino a esse material que é muito mais nobre do que aquele que estão destinando já na agroindústria. Esses resíduos da agroindústria colocam um fungo e esse fungo começa a crescer nesse material. Ou seja, a gente faz um material que não é injetado ou algo do tipo, mas sim é um material cultivado. Então você pode pegar esse material no final do seu ciclo de vida, jogar na natureza que ele não vai trazer mal nenhum para aquele meio ambiente.
Então a gente está na Mata Atlântica, aqui um pouco fora de São Paulo, entre São Paulo e Santos. E a gente vai procurar alguns cogumelos assim, para eu poder explicar um pouco melhor sobre a estrutura de cada um. O fungo também é um dos grandes organismos, assim, os mais importantes para você conseguir produzir compostos biotecnológicos para farmácia, para várias outras coisas, como para alimentação. Então é uma das coisas assim que é realmente muito interessante sobre ele. Usado em várias outras coisas, como por exemplo as vacinas. Esses dois são dois tipos diferentes de fungo que a gente encontrou aqui na floresta. Esses daqui são dois tipos de estruturas diferentes que pode ocorrer dentro desse reino. Claro que vai variar muito entre um e o outro, mas aqui tem dois exemplos bem legais, em que um forma essa capa, esse chapéu, que produz essa estrutura radial, e o outro é um que forma tipo, como se fosse um coral. Todos eles são corpos de frutificação de um fungo, de vários fungos, na verdade, e que cada um tem o seu jeito de esporular e soltar os seus esporos.
Para a mush, seria a gente realmente e efetivamente conseguir mudar culturalmente esse processo de produção e consumo que a gente tem atualmente. Ou seja, fez tirar essa parte de danos ambientais que é o que o plástico produz no mundo e atacar exatamente isso.
At its core, Ripple is a movement. It's really just a brand, but the brand stands for so much more. And we're just leveraging these high quality products to solve a real world problem. We're starting with water bottles and solving the water crisis because it's one of the largest in the world, but this model can be transferred to anything. People always ask me, what happens when these industry leaders figure out who you are and they start donating money to solve the water crisis? I'm like, great. It takes $200 billion for 5 years, every single year to completely solve it. I'll stop selling bottles, just give me all the money and I'll go work in the nonprofit space to actually go create the impact, because that's what I enjoy most. But even after that, it can spread across so many different areas. The overarching 10-year vision is I want to create this online e-commerce marketplace similar to an Amazon, but the idea is that every single product is completely transparent and backed with a purpose. So that way it enables consumers to decide, all right, I'm willing to spend an extra maybe like $2 or $3 on this. It's gonna help give someone food or help with them with education or give them water, and just creating this massive platform of products with a purpose is the overarching goal. Ripple is not a water bottle. Ripple is the community that we're building and figuring out how to make the world a better place and make their own ripple in the world, and how we inspire others to go do the same. If I could tell my dad one thing, I think I would just give him the biggest hug I could possibly give him. I wish he was here to be able to see all this, but I know he's up there. I know he's watching down, and I know he's with me.
So I didn't decide I was going to open up a language academy. I was kind of looking for a way for me to reconnect with my roots, because being from another country, living in another country, it kind of became quite easy for me to lose my own heritage. So through the process of me having to reteach myself my mother tongue, Shona, and also through the process of understanding more of, my cultural history of the Shona people, I realized that there weren't a lot of spaces that were doing that for other indigenous languages and cultures, and that's kind of where it started. On our platform, you can learn in two ways as a student. The first way is through the self-learning tool. So if you just kind of want to go through the preloaded content at your own pace and anywhere in the world, you can log into your account, enroll in a course, and then you can start learning it. And then the other way is through a virtual tutor. So all our tutors are either graduates of linguistics, African linguistics, or they are people with over 2 years of experience in teaching these languages. We're not just teaching you vocab, grammatical rules. We're not just kind of teaching you how to have a basic conversation. We're assisting you to also be able to integrate into that culture, to really have meaningful interactions with people. I think there's just so much more to Africa that seems like it was hidden in indigenous cultures and languages that a lot of people haven't unearthed. And when you give people the platform to share, the indigenous medicines, the indigenous methods, how they learned mathematics and accounting, I think there's so many other solutions that can come from that we can then build on to solve African problems.
Initially, the market was very low because people already had those products in the market which they preferred. So there was nothing unique in my products for them to buy my products. I think it was almost 1 year since I realized that I'll have to make something new. I'll have to explore on new stuff. So from 2017 only, I started creating new products. Like I entered into home decors. I bought in blends with terracotta jewelry, like blends with tassels, pom-poms, pearls, and all of it. In the jewelry part, we make from the small studs, the earrings, the jhumkas, neckwears. We make everything: anklets, bracelets, rings. And in the home decors, we make caricature magnets, wall pictures, wall hangings, dream catchers. The raw material for terracotta jewelry making is clay. Clay is basically a refined soil. From the clay, we mold it into a product. We either use silicone molds or we manually cut the shapes. And after molding, we finally carve it, pearls and all of it. So after the carving process, we go in for the drying process. And drying process takes about 3 to 4 days. And after drying process, we bake them. And after the baking process, we paint them. What we do is we follow the concept of distributive manufacturing, wherein we impart this skill to unemployed women and students, and we identify their specific skills, and according to their specific skills, we purchase product components from them accordingly, which also helps in their sustainable livelihood.
My name is Mateo Olivar Sierra. I'm 21 years old and I'm from Colombia. I was always passionate about entrepreneurship. Got my first startup at 17, raised capital, sold a product, went to Shark Tank, an amazing experience. But I wanted more. And then I joined the industry of my dreams to co-found Contler, my second company. What we do is super simple, a digital concierge solution that will allow you as a guest to order anything you need during your stay. To put it simple, you just scan a QR code and you can request towels, transport, room service, you name it, anything that you want in the language that you choose using artificial intelligence. This started as a small idea for hotels in Colombia, but now it's a Swiss company serving hotels in more than 5 countries. We aim to scale it up and to be the main player in hotel tech, serving hotels all around the world, helping them to be more cost efficient and democratizing the access. This is not only for the big luxury brands or for the most beautiful hotels, but also for these small family-owned hotels that want to join the technology. We have an amazing team, and my day-to-day basis is to coordinate them as we're fully remote. As well, we visit amazing hotels like this one to make sure that they have the perfect solution for their case.
Bueno, mi hijo pues es un ser muy especial, siempre ha sido alegre, siempre sonriente. En sus primeros años de kindergarten siempre fue protagonista, le gustaba estar al frente, seguía instrucciones, nunca tuvimos problema con él, todo lo contrario, siempre brillaba y bueno, nunca pensamos que llegaríamos hasta este punto, de verdad que él siempre tuvo alegría, siempre la ha tenido, siempre ha sido muy buen observador, él analiza cada situación y realmente este ha sido producto de esa personalidad que él tiene, que él observa, analiza, y siempre busca una salida para mejorar algún tipo de situación, que para tener buenas relaciones interpersonales tenemos que comunicarnos bien y en los negocios no es la excepción y él lo ha aplicado perfectamente.
Beyond the business itself, my goal in life is to inspire others. Since I started so young, my story has been inspiring for Colombians, but now I want to scale up my impact and also help entrepreneurs from all around the world. Because it doesn't matter where you come from, your capabilities, your socioeconomic condition, all it takes is to be bold and to start building something amazing. I want to be the Global Student Entrepreneur of the Year because I'm sure that my story and what I have been able to contribute to the community will make sure that this is a replicator effect and we have a big generation of entrepreneurs that want to be bold and want to build amazing stuff. I feel honored and blessed to be here and to represent the most beautiful country in the world, Colombia.
My name is Nick Cotter. I am from Abbeyfield, a small town in West Limerick in the south of Ireland, and I am the CEO and co-founder of Cotter Agritech, along with studying law and business in University College Cork. I loved growing up. My childhood was amazing. Mom was great for sticking us into just about every sport you can imagine. School was something that I had a natural affinity for. I really liked books, I love knowledge. History was my favourite subject in school, and I've carried that through studying law now in college. Myself and Jack would try to find any way possible on the farm where we could make a bit of money to buy a PlayStation or buy a new pair of shoes, whatever it might be. So one of the first things we went at as our very first business is we started building bird boxes and selling them to farmers who had forestry on their farms. My brother Jack, he's the guy who comes up with all the great ideas, and then we work together to execute them. He's such a creative individual. At the end of the day, we both have the same common goal in mind. We want to go out into the world, we want to have an impact, and we want to achieve things. The idea for Cotter Agritech started out about 6 years ago now. We had awful trouble handling our small young lambs. Because we're organic, we try to minimise disease on the farm, so we vaccinate, and that requires us to handle the lambs when they're about that tall. It's incredibly stressful. You're bent over at 90 degrees, you miss doses. It's just an incredibly hard job. These are hard animals to handle. So this project really all started out of necessity, where we needed to make this job easier for ourselves. So the first thing we developed was the hardware, which was this concept of, instead of having them in a pin and you're bent over at 90 degrees, instead they're at your height, so you can do all the jobs you need to do. And we took that to the innovation arena at the National Ploughing Championships. We ended up talking to about 1,000 farmers throughout the trade show over the 3 days, and we picked up the best overall startup and best agri-engineering awards. So this wasn't just a problem we were experiencing. This is the problem on a lot of other farms. As we looked to continue developing it, we came across this other problem in sheep farming. Controlling parasites is one of the biggest challenges facing sheep farmers globally. And essentially what our system does is we have an advanced algorithm built into our piece of software that identifies which animals will benefit from the treatment and which animals won't. And this reduces the drug use by about 40 to 50%, which is a game changer financially for farmers, but it also from an environmental point of view for us all. I'm a bit of a mama's boy. It's always the way I've been. Mom was a huge part of obviously raising me as a very young child, and that stayed with me. And I think that's how I've developed a way with people. Mom is just an amazing communicator and is so empathetic to other people. Mom was unfortunately diagnosed with breast cancer about 4 years ago, and she came through that, but I've seen my mom struggle for the last 12 years with really big challenges, but ultimately for her, she's just an absolute trooper. Never once has she let it get her down. Every day she wakes up and just makes the best of it.
I don't look at negatives, I always look at positives. There's so many awful things, and yes, I've been, carrying a lot of things, but at the same time, I would always have the mindset of positivity, and maybe, I suppose, yeah, it does brush off. For me, my relationship with Nick would be very, there's just a huge love. He thinks about you more than he thinks about himself. He's just a good all-rounder kid. It's what every parent would want, I think.
Yeah, I just get emotional thinking about it because he's just an amazing kid and he's a great sense of gratitude. My one wish for Nick is that he continues doing what he's doing, working with the people that he's working with, interacting that way and succeeding. And if he can keep that up, he's just going to end up someplace absolutely amazing.
I've been given a gift where I was incredibly fortunate to be born into a family with two hugely inspirational and parents that just support everything we do. I have a brother who wants to work on this journey with me together, so we don't have to do it alone. Then I was just fortunate enough to be built with a good mind on me. And I think I don't want to waste those talents and that opportunity. I want to make best use of it, and as I say, I want to work towards achieving that highest good because I think that's what we should all be doing.
My dream for Carter Agritech would be to be, I guess, renowned in our field. And when somebody thinks agri-tech or agriculture, they think the Carter brothers.
Right now we have 200 people being impacted by our coding school. We are teaching them how to code, but we already impact 500 people through our journey. We have freelancers that teach those students, but we do have volunteers, and most of these volunteers are Brazilians that they wanted to learn how to code, and then they are bringing back that knowledge to those youth that don't have this opportunity. Today we help people learning how to code, and then we match with some companies, we contact them. The companies need employees with those talents and with tech skills, and so they are chasing those talents, and we have this goal on our hands, and we can play and we can really make them go to these companies. We already are impacting the whole Brazilian states with our coding school. There is some students in each state of Brazil, but so we want to increase that number and make more impact, because we know that if they learn how to code, they will have power in their hands. What fuels me to wake up every day and to do what I'm doing today, it's the impact and the changing that what I'm doing can make in the life of people. what I get from what I'm doing will be here after I die, but what I do in the life of others, it will be last forever.
"60 students from a multitude of different countries participated in the regional quarterfinals of this year's competition. Each student had to prepare a 10-minute online pitch, which was followed by a 5-minute Q&A session with seasoned entrepreneurs from the Entrepreneurs Organization. From neuromarketing, online language schools, turning mushrooms into plastic, and a business that recoats used frying pans.
Our technology uses fungi as binders for the production of moldable and innovative material.
To say that we are now offering 12 indigenous languages that span across 4 Southern African countries.
Why tourism? Because tourism is the main way to take off the labels that people have on Colombia.
There's $10 billion worth of crypto sitting in India and no one has an avenue to spend it.
Controlling parasites is one of the biggest challenges facing the millions of sheep, cattle and goat farmers worldwide.
It was the proudest moment of my life to see these kids' smiling faces and know that their kids and kids' kids for generations to come are all going to have clean water.
We'll create awareness and acceptance on the sustainable craft and spread this Indian traditional craft worldwide.
I had a dream, and my biggest dream was to be an entrepreneur.
The variety of businesses that competed in this year's quarterfinals were staggering, but in the end, there could only be 18. 18 participants, 18 businesses, 18 dreams. Who will have what it takes? It's finally here. It's time for our 18 participants to pitch their businesses. It's time for you to meet our judges. And it's time for me to get off of this roof and into the studio. Let's kick things off. Let's start it up.